and welcome to Emaldo Updates, Grid Rewards and Beyond. My name is Christina and I'm the Public Relations Manager here at Emaldo. It's a pleasure to have you with us as we dive into some of the exciting things happening at Emaldo right now, including our work on Grid Rewards. At Emaldo, we're passionate about creating connected technologies for a cooler world, and today's session is all about sharing insights and ideas that can help us move closer to that goal. Without further ado, I'll now hand it over to my colleagues who will guide you through the main part of today's webinar. They will share insights and guide you through the next hour, providing valuable perspectives and expertise. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started.
Thank you so much for joining today's webinar about Emaldo's Grid Reward program. Now, the webinar is actually conducted by myself. I'm Tobias, I'm Head of Sales and Marketing, and Alistair Firth, who has recently joined the company as our Chief Product Officer. He will actually be responsible for our product roadmap and to ensure that we're continuously improving our customers' experience. Now, during today's webinar, we will be discussing several topics. We're going to talk about understanding the energy market and battery storage trends. How do grid rewards actually work? How do you get paid? Now, what are the upcoming developments? We're going to summarize it all, and then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. Now, please note that you will be able to ask your questions during this webinar. The questions will be monitored by our team, who will at the end select the most commonly asked questions, which Alistair and myself will address. Now, we expect we won't be able to answer all the questions during this webinar. However, we will then be answering them during the next sessions. Now, this webinar is attended by both Emaldo private customers, but also our installation partners. We will be conducting several of these webinars over the coming weeks and months. Some of those will be specific to our installation partners, and that will focus a lot more on how do you manage our assets, how do you ensure that you as an installation partner are able to best serve, our customers. And some of those webinars will focus specifically on you, the end consumer, where we will discuss how do you best use our app, how do you get the most out of our system, and how do you ensure, that the Emaldo product is really used to its full potential. Now, at the end of the webinar today, we will actually ask everyone to complete a short survey. Now, the reason why we ask you to complete this survey is that you, as our install partners and our customers, are essentially, you need to be closer to what we do as a business. And actually your feedback and suggestions, and what do you think about the things that we do at the moment, is extremely valuable for Alistair and his team to be able to structure the roadmap of what they're going to be focusing on, and how do we ensure that you, the customer, really get the best possible experience. Now, we made a commitment to constantly improve. We understand that we're not perfect, at least not yet. But these sessions combined with your feedback actually allows us to get much, much better. Now, before I hand over to Alistair, what I think is important is that we just, as a general, give an update of Emaldo as a business and how we actually got to where we are today, because it's been an interesting journey. So, as an organization, Emaldo's core focus as a business, from the moment it was founded until today, is to ensure that we support the green transition. Now, we really thought about this long and hard. How can we as an organization ensure that we enable customers and companies to really contribute to the green transition, which is important to all of us. Now, we strongly believe that the best way to do that is to build high quality products that are really easy to use. Now, and by doing those two things, we want to ensure that as many customers as possible can benefit from all the great things that Emaldo has to offer. So when we started on this journey originally, we actually had one product, and it was actually the Power Core product, which I'm sure many of you have either already installed in your home or as an install partner are actually offering to your customers at the moment. Now this core product, what we try to do is how do we package one product to have all the benefits that the customer is looking for. So it has an integrated solar inverter that is able to actually convert the energy produced by your solar panels on your roof into energy you can use in the home. It's got an integrated car charger, which allows customers to charge their cars. And in addition to that, it's got several batteries, which are able to store the energy, the excess energy produced by your solar panels, but also intelligent steering, which allows us to charge the battery when energy prices are cheap and use that power in the home when energy is expensive. Now that combined was a great success, but actually that product was really focused on customers that were just about to buy a new solar system. So it was really only for new installations. And what we saw is that in the market, actually, there are so many customers that have already made the decision to have solar panels installed in their home. They made that commitment, potentially several years ago. But now they want to actually add a battery to an existing solar installation. Now, so far that's been relatively complex. So what we did is we actually designed the Emaldo Power Store. This is a retrofit battery solution that can be installed in a home or a business that either already has solar panels installed or has no solar panels at all. Now, this battery works completely independent from a potentially already installed solar system. But what it is able to do is actually store the excess power produced by the customer's existing solar installation. Now, this was quite groundbreaking actually, and what we found is that the demand for that product has been immense. Now, and finally, our third product that we offer at the moment is the Emaldo Power Pulse product. Now, this product has really been designed to take advantage of the Grid Rewards program, which Alistair will discuss in greater detail later on in this webinar. Now, this Emaldo Power Pulse product is a product that can be installed in a customer's home, or you can link several together when it can be installed in either a business, or a high consuming customer. Now, the Emaldo Power Pulse product is really designed to get the maximum return from Grid Rewards. These three products, even though they're really exciting, but we will continue to evolve and we will continue to bring new products to the market. On this journey that we're on at the moment, all of the products have one thing in common. Actually, two things. They're high quality hardware coupled with smart steering. So as we evolve, and that's what we're going to talk about today, all of these three products will also be able to take advantage of the Emaldo Grid Reward program. So at this point, I would like to hand over to yourself, Alistair, to talk a little bit more about the Emaldo Grid Reward program.
Excellent, thank you. So let's get straight into it. But before we dive into how your battery can generate some revenue, let's take a bit of a step back and look at the bigger picture for a second. So how does the energy market work, and why does having an Emaldo battery solution give you the ability to earn some money? So today, our core markets are Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. We are actively expanding outside of those countries, but each energy market operates slightly differently. So for the purpose of the webinar, I am going to focus on these three, and it's because they broadly operate in the same way. So let's talk a little bit about how the energy market works. So electricity markets globally operate on a supply and demand basis, right? As you would probably expect. Energy is generated from various sources. That might be hydropower, wind, solar, nuclear. And each country really does have a different mix based on the dynamics there. So you'll see here, Sweden relies largely on hydropower and nuclear and exports a lot of clean energy, actually. Finland has a balanced mix with strong nuclear and wind growth. And Denmark leads in wind power and is rapidly moving towards 100% renewables, which is great. Whatever the source, electricity is bought and sold on the Nord Pool Power Exchange. Nord Pool is actually the leading marketplace in Europe for energy. Those of you that are on a tracker style energy tariff from your energy supplier, you'll already see this. The prices that you pay for your energy will fluctuate based on a range of factors, right? So including the grid conditions, the weather, the consumption patterns of everybody connected to the grid, so how much energy is being used at any given time. And the fluctuating energy prices are one of the biggest reasons for the increase in the number of battery installs. So customers look to utilise really as much of the energy that they generate from their solar panels as possible. And it's of course to reduce their energy bills. But government incentives and the journey to reach net zero, they're also really big drivers. But with the cost of energy so volatile, as you saw on those graphs a moment ago, a battery is a great way to reduce your energy costs. And it's funny, actually, we were talking in the office that as of yesterday, we have 8,000 batteries installed. And these batteries can be used to help the grid operators balance the energy network. So let's talk a little bit about that. Grid operators. Each country has its own grid operator. You'll see there you've got EnergyNet, Svenska Kraftnät and Fingrid. And it's their job to balance the energy network and make sure it remains stable. That means that the right amount of energy is always available when you turn the lights on. When there's too much electricity on the network, these grid operators pay companies to absorb it. And when there's a shortage of energy, they pay companies that can provide them with additional power. This is all at very short notice. The service the grid operators provide is really important. Give them a quick shout out there. If there's too much energy, then it could seriously damage anything that's connected to the grid, right? Even worst case, cause some fires. And if it's too low, then there won't be enough energy to go around, and worst case scenario, there'd be blackouts. So it's a critical solution that they provide for us. And so how do grid rewards work? Well, the grid rewards program enables your battery to interact with the energy market by providing services to these grid operators. So the image here shows the battery providing energy and taking energy from the grid to keep the frequency at or as close to 50 Hertz as possible. There's a lot of complexities and different services, because if their frequency goes within a reasonable range of 50 Hertz, then actually we can control it dynamically through battery patterns. And if it goes drastically outside of those areas, then we have to react stronger. And so those services come at different values and they come at different reaction points. And it's extremely complex, but ultimately we will either sell energy or sell capacity to grid operators. Selling energy that is stored in your battery is because the frequency has dropped. In this case, the grid operator will send us a notification and we are then paid on the amount of energy we provide them. The other option is that we sell capacity, or the empty space in your battery. So when there is too much energy in the network, the grid operator will send us a signal, and then we will charge the battery to help reduce it and then stabilise the grid. There's a key thing here though. Of course, we only do these activities when it makes financial sense for you. For example, we would only sell energy back to the grid if after taxes and distribution fees, it still made a profit. The good news though is the software that we've built automates this for you. So it's our job to ensure you get the best possible return without any manual effort. It's a big goal of ours here. So we've gone through the process of bidding and providing either energy or capacity. How do you, as a customer, get paid? Well, each of the grid operators have a different process for onboarding new assets, and we're working through those processes now. As we speak, we're actually testing a handful of units in Denmark, which is so far going really well. But for the time being, we'll continue to pay our customers the fixed monthly payments until we are live in each of the regions. Once we are live, the payouts will reflect the market conditions and the service that we provide the grid operators at the time. Now, we're not in control of that, as it's probably become obvious, and the grid operators will pay us based on the market conditions, right? So based on the number of people that might bid, based on the number of batteries, and based also on the situation, how bad or how desperate they are for battery or capacity. But we will continue to keep you updated on our progress, and we're really excited. We think we're going to be up and running really soon. How do you enroll your battery? So the best thing to do is if you go on your app and click on the Grid Rewards icon, it'll take you through, I think it's 4 steps, and you will be able to connect your device. If you're a customer in Sweden though, for the time being, please go to our website and complete the form on there. It's really important to us that we make sure the batteries that we have sold and our customers have installed are used and we make the most of them. We reduce costs, but also generate an income for people while providing these critical services to the grid operators. So what are we looking at next? So what you'll see on the slide there is you may have seen it in the news actually, is a graph that shows the price spikes in Denmark on the 14th of January. It hit the news pretty big because the price went all the way up, and I think there are a lot of people affected by that on those tracker tariffs that we spoke about earlier. And actually, how we manage that is through what we call price tracking mode. So price tracking is where we optimize the battery's activity against these price spikes, the Nord Pool price spikes. And so what we want to happen is that the battery charges when the prices are low and then discharges that energy into the home when the prices are high. These price spikes are becoming more frequent, and it's really important that our software makes the right decisions. For example, one of the things we need to be able to do and do really well is forecast how much you will make from a grid reward session versus the amount you would save from a price tracking period over the same amount of time. And this is exactly what we've been working on. So the newest version, the updated version of our AI mode is targeted to do exactly that. It will learn your behavior. So it will learn your consumption, it will learn your generation patterns, and it will learn the market conditions and then make the right decision for you and your circumstances. It's going through some preliminary initial testing internally at the moment. And the next step is for us to then release that to a selected number of customers so we can get some real life user feedback. And that's actually part of what we will be focusing on in the coming months to set up formally. And we'll be inviting people to volunteer to be part of an advisory panel. We will have one advisory panel for our installer partners and one for our customers. And these advisory panels, we will meet once every 3 months to review and discuss the new features that we've released, help us validate our ideas for what we think we want to do next, and also they will have a big say in how we prioritize our roadmap. These forums are so valuable to us. If when you do see the invitation, please do take it up and raise your hand. Typically, when I've done this and before, there's an awful lot of people that put their hand up, and we can't, of course, have an enormous forum. It needs to be, of a reasonable size. But it's really important. If you want to have your say, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I think you've hit on a couple of really important points. So before I summarize what you've gone through, I think there's a couple of things that is really valuable to add here. Is that Emaldo is actually offering installers and customers a really unique proposition here. Because unlike most companies that operate in this space, they try to sell you a battery, and after that, they don't really care that much about the experience that you have because they don't have a real ongoing relationship. I think this is really where Emaldo is different. Not only are we focused on high quality hardware, but it's actually a material benefit to Emaldo to ensure that the steering is as smart as possible and we're able to generate as much revenue through Grid Rewards. So this is actually a way we're in this together. And this is where that partnership and that feedback is actually super valuable. Now, we've gone through a lot of points here, and for a lot of customers, I would imagine, there are things that, you would like to know more about. As I mentioned at the beginning, actually, we will be focusing a separate session on how can customers get the most out of their app. We considered doing it in this forum, but we believe that it actually deserved its own session. And we will let everybody know shortly when that will be available. So in terms of today, to summarize, so we've actually gone through a few parts. So it's, how do we pay the Grid Rewards and how do they work? Now, we also have a point where you mentioned, ensuring that customers get paid. There's a small point that I would like to add. When customers registered for the Grid Rewards, either on the app, if you're in Finland or in Denmark, or on the website, when you're in Sweden, we actually noticed that quite a few customers incorrectly documented their IBAN number. Now, that IBAN number is a unique number that is linked to your bank account that allows us to actually transfer the guaranteed Grid Rewards to you as a customer. Now, we of course want to make sure that everybody gets their payouts, but we've actually noticed that there's quite a few customers where this is missing. We've proactively or in the process of reaching out to all of these customers. So if you could please check your email, check if there's an email from Emaldo. If there is, regarding the IBAN number, there's a small link, just click on it, put in your email address and your name, your IBAN number. It'll be updated, and then our team can ensure that we can actually make the payment to yourself. I know it's a little bit of housekeeping, but clearly to you as a customer, it's really important. Alistair also mentioned the fact that, we're working really hard on the next version of the AI mode. We're conscious of the fact that even though the steering of the battery is very clever at the moment, there's many things that we can do better. And, from the feedback that I've seen, and, some of the employees already have the steering on their device, it's extremely promising. So as Alistair mentioned, put your hand up if you want to be one of those people to be included in, the next batch of testing. So, after this webinar, after we've done the Q&A, we will be sending out a survey to all of the customers and all of the installers that have taken the time to join us today. As Alistair mentioned, that feedback is super valuable. It won't take too long. Please do it. It really ensures that future development is in line with what you're looking for. So I understand that the team has been receiving quite a few questions. So why don't we cover some of those, please, Christina?
Yes, thank you. We're getting loads of good questions, so let me just pick out a few. The first one is a question from a private customer in Sweden. And the question is, when do you anticipate you will be up and running in Sweden, and what do you expect the monthly payout to be?
That sounds like a you question.
Okay. So, it's a really good question. Okay, so first of all, we are currently working with the grid operator in Sweden, which is Svenska Kraftnät. I will get better at that.
Yes.
And we're working with them to go through the qualification process to enroll our assets to be able to enroll the batteries to be able to provide the grid services and then earn that revenue to pass on to our customers. The important thing is, until we are live, just to clarify actually a point I made earlier, we will carry on paying out the guaranteed payouts that we are doing now. In terms of timelines, as it looks today, it will be end of Q1, start of Q2, nearly said Q3 then, end of Q1, start of Q2. So that is calendar quarters. So that's end of March, start of April. In terms of forecasted grid payouts, is a question I personally get quite a lot. And it's actually really challenging because the new AI version that we talked about a moment ago, what it's going to do is, this is what we're testing at the moment, it's going to learn your consumption patterns, learn your generation patterns when you have solar power, of course, learn the weather in your area, the price tracking, the Nord Pool prices in your area. We'll of course update those every day, but ideally we want to forecast them. And then make a decision based on what's best for you and your circumstances. So it's really hard to give a blanket, this is actually what it's going to be. Right now we're focused really heavily on making sure the decision engine works as we expect it to work, and then we enroll all the batteries with Svenska Kraftnät. Already better.
There you go.
Already better.
Yeah, and I think, just to add that, potentially also valuable, I understand that grid reward payouts is a hot topic, because that is something that's relatively easy to measure. This is how much I get paid every month. Something to note, and something that you touched on earlier, is actually, the improved version of the AI is working out what is actually best for you. And there might be instances where it's worth not bidding on a grid rewards, right? Which results in a slightly reduced grid reward payout for that specific hour, right? But actually using that to be able to charge the battery or discharge the battery because of the energy prices. So actually just using grid rewards as a measurement for success, probably not the right way to look at it. It is about the overall benefit that a customer is able to extract out of a battery. And again, that makes us slightly different. We don't simply lock the battery and just use it for balancing services. It's this dual use where it's both the revenue generated from grid rewards, but actually also the savings made by doing the price tracking mode. This overall benefit is really where I think you as a customer and an installer, that's really where we need to look at. Sorry to add but I think that might be really valuable.
I think if you look back, if you remember back to the graph about the Danish prices, I think on the 24th, 25th of January, something like
14th.
14th, thank you. I'll just take off 10 days. So 14th of January, the right thing to do in that circumstance was to buy low and use high, right? That was so valuable to customers on that day. We wouldn't want to make like a blanket assumption that grid services are always the right thing to do. So individual decisions, that's really where we're going.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment. I think if I was a customer that had a battery at the time and energy prices are, I think in Denmark at one point, there were 8 Danish crowns for a kilowatt, right? If at that point my battery would not be doing anything because it was waiting to provide grid balancing services, and I would be buying power from the grid whilst I have a charged battery, I think that would be a really poor experience as a customer. And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah,
so absolutely. I think that's actually a good example.
Yep.
Yes, we have more questions.
Of course.
Oh, good.
We also have a question from an installer in Sweden. And the question is, it has been a challenge to receive enough products and delivery time has been long. Do you have an update?
I think that's going to be me. Yes. Okay. So really valid question, right? So I speak to installers and have been speaking to installers every single day. And, I recognize that question that we just got. Yes, we've had some challenges in providing enough material to the market towards the end of last year. Several factors. Some of those, unfortunately, not in our control. That's still not really an excuse, but those were the circumstances. We've actually overcome those hurdles at the moment. If you're an install partner of ours at the moment, I hope your account manager has reached out to you to let you know that actually stock availability is good. We've also ensured that both the supply chain and the way that we get the products here now ensures a stable supply. So on our side, we do not foresee any issues in terms of ensuring that when you need a product, that you will be able to get that product. So we're really pleased with that.
All right. So we have a great question from Philip in Denmark. How does the AI factor in weather forecasts for battery management? For example, discharging ahead of a sunny day.
I think we can both answer that.
Yeah.
It's a really good question. I hope that, towards the end of the webinar today, we kind of answered that already a little bit. So the new version of the AI takes into account several factors, how it makes a decision. Weather is one of those decisions. Now, even though we had that in the past, it clearly wasn't as good as it could be, right? And that's why, we continuously develop. And this is part of, the new and improved AI that, it is essentially up and running. We're just not comfortable rolling it out yet until we've done the proper amount of testing. So if this is something that you as a customer are really interested in, I suggest that you register to become one of the customers to do the beta testing. And I'm confident that you'll see the difference.
Yeah, that's the great answer here. Like, please, if you have a strong interest or you really want to get closer to the development and the features that we're rolling out, please do put your hand up for the advisory panels and the beta tests. Yeah.
All right,
great.
Thank you. We have a question from Jesse in Sweden. Will the app show price savings in Swedish krona per day, month, year?
Wow. Okay. So we're really going very technical. By the way, it's a really good question. It's also not something that we've heard for the first time. I think we need to understand that that is definitely something that is on the roadmap. I have to admit that it's going to largely depend on the feedback that we now get from the survey. What actually do customers think is important, and then prioritize those. We can't do everything at the same time. I think everybody will recognize that. If we hear from more people that this is really important, it will, up to Alistair and the team to decide where that sits. But it's absolutely something that we've considered, and it's something that's on the roadmap. I don't know where it is yet, and I wouldn't want to suggest when it would be done.
Yeah, I guess if the best thing to do is have your say on the survey and the advisory panels, right? A bit of a broken record. I don't mean to be, but we want your input. So yeah, when you see those surveys, and the survey, we do want it to be a regular thing. So I'm not sure exactly on the cadence, maybe once every 3 months, something like that. But in an ideal world, it's alongside the advisory panels. So then when we meet as a group, we're able to go, right, we released this feature. We then ran a survey straight after, and these are the comments we got back, and then use the advisory panel as a group of, kind of invested individuals to help us then prioritize that feedback. As Tobias rightly said, it's highly unlikely we can do absolutely everything all at once, but we can get to everything over time. The trick is what order. So yeah, the more you can help us with those opinions, the better.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. Yeah.
All right. Well, Alistair and Tobias, we're getting a lot of questions.
Good.
So to make sure that we will get you the proper answers, we will try to address as many of them in the next session or webinar.
Okay.
Good idea.
I think that's a good idea. So, I would like to thank everybody for taking the time. I'm conscious of the fact that we've taken a lot of your time. I hope it's been valuable. If it hasn't, again, you can put it on the survey that goes out later on. I'd again really encourage people to complete that. As I mentioned throughout, this isn't a standalone session. And what we want to do is far more focused sessions like these, this being Grid Rewards. We will have another one that is focusing on the consumer app. I'm also conscious that is for customers really important. For installers, actually, we can also do a better job in ensuring that the tools that you've got from us, your management tool, that you also have a better understanding of how to use it so you're able to even do a better job in supporting your customers. This is a journey that we're on together, and I hope that everybody recognizes that we as Emaldo are highly invested in the relationship and really want to do this together. So, on that note, I would like to thank everybody very much for your time, and hope to see you on the next webinar.
Excellent. Thank you.